Teen Wolf is an American television series developed by Jeff Davis for MTV. It is loosely based on the 1985 film of the same name. The show's central character is Scott McCall, a high school student and social outcast who is bitten by a werewolf while looking for a dead girl in the woods. Scott attempts to maintain a normal life, keeping the fact of his being a werewolf secret from everyone, with the exception of his best friend Stilinski, who helps him through the changes in his life and body, and another mysterious werewolf, Hale. Teen Wolf premiered on June 5, 2011, following the 2011 MTV Movie Awards. The second season premiered on June 3, 2012 after 2012 MTV Movie Awards. On July 12, 2012, Teen Wolf was renewed for a third season, which includes 24 episodes, and the production location was moved to Los Angeles, California. The third season premiered on June 3, 2013 at 10 p.m., giving the series a new high on ratings. A fourth season has been confirmed, which premiered on June 23, 2014. The series has received a generally positive response from critics. Plot: the series revolves around social outcast Scott McCall, a high school student living in the town of Beacon Hills. Scott's life drastically changes when he is bitten by a werewolf, becoming one himself. He must henceforth learn to balance his problematic new identity with his day-to-day teenage life. The following characters are instrumental to his struggle: Stiles, his best friend; Allison, his love interest who comes from a family of werewolf hunters; and Derek, a mysterious werewolf with a dark past. Throughout the series, he strives to keep his loved ones safe while maintaining normal relationships with them. Cast: Main cast: Tyler Posey as Scott McCall, Crystal Reed as Allison Argent, Dylan O'Brien as Stiles Stilinski, Tyler Hoechlin as Derek Hale, Holland Roden as Lydia Martin, Colton Haynes as Jackson Whitmore, Shelley Hennig as Malia Tate, Arden Cho as Kira Yukimura. Recurring cast: Junior Bourne as Chris Argent, Lyndon Ashby as Sheriff Stilinski, Melissa Poncio as Melissa McCall, Edie Mays as Victoria Argent, Jill Wagner as Kate Argent, Kaka Honey as Danny Mahilani, Ian Bourne as Peter Hale, Seth Gilliam as Dr. Alan Deaton, Orny Adams as Coach Bobby Finstock, Bianca Lawson as Marin Morell, Daniel Sharman as Isaac Lee, Megan Tandy as Broyden, Charlie Carver as Ethan, Max Carver as Aidan, Brian Kelly as Deputy Parish, Dylan Sprayberry as Liam Dunbar. Development and production: in June 2009, MTV announced that they would be adapting the 1985 film Teen Wolf into a new television series with a greater emphasis on romance, horror and werewolf mythology. This is the second television adaptation of the film. An animated version aired on CBS in 1986–87. Australian director Russell Mulcahy directed the pilot presentation and serves as executive producer and in-house director. MTV's Teen Wolf series became a reimagining of the earlier Michael J. Fox comedy film, with the creator and executive producer, Jeff Davis, developing a darker, sexier and edgier version than the original. Davis' desire was to make a thriller with comedic overtones but in a tone more similar to that of the 1987 vampire film The Lost Boys. Once the show was a go, Davis lined up Mulcahy, who added the horror to the project. According to Davis, it all started with an idea to do a homage to Stand By Me, in the beginning, where the kids go out and search for a body in the woods and it's not quite what they expect. On the werewolf look they went for something a little more Pan's Labyrinth. Guillermo del Toro's creatures were an inspiration, describing them as beautiful, elegant and scary, at the same time. Casting announcements were all announced in December 2010, with the main cast being Tyler Posey, Crystal Reed, Tyler Hoechlin, Dylan O'Brien, Holland Roden, and Colton Haynes. Posey was cast as the lead Scott McCall, a dorky high school student who, after being bitten by a werewolf, starts to notice changes in himself. Reed playing Allison Argent, a sweet new girl at school who is immediately attracted to Scott. Hoechlin playing Derek Hale, a handsome local boy who in fact is a vicious and predatory werewolf, and O'Brien playing Stiles, Scott's best friend. Roden playing Lydia Martin, Jackson Whitmore's popular and controlling girlfriend, and Haynes playing Jackson Whitmore, Scott's lacrosse teammate and rival. Production on 12 episodes began in October 2010 in Atlanta, Georgia. MTV released a sneak peek of the first 8 minutes of the pilot on their website, on May 31, 2011. Teen Wolf episodes are composed by music composer Dino Monaghan. As of Season 2, the opening credits of the show changed dramatically to a longer format featuring the main characters appearing whilst performing an action, along with the respective names of the actors. The new opening credits also feature the show's new theme song. In June 2012, the series received conditional approval for a California film and TV tax credit. At Comic-Con 2012, the cast confirmed that the show had been renewed for a longer third season, comprising 24 episodes. In June 2013, the series was selected again for a California tax credit. Roughly halfway through each episode, the series has a segment with the song Row, Row, Row Your Boat, utilizing an alternative and much darker rendition of the song. This song's sequence concludes, and is explained in Season 3 when Stiles is shown to be locked in a semi-conscious dream state along with Scott. Differences and similarities from films. The original film is about a typical awkward team sports-playing teenager named Scott dealing with high school and life as a werewolf. In both versions, Scott reaps the benefits of werewolf stardom, achieving confidence and acceptance from his peers with his newly discovered powers and has a close friend named Stiles. There are significant differences between the film and TV series. MTV's version is a drama comedy with a darker tone while the 1985 film was simply a comedy. The humor in the new series is a darker humor but pays tribute to the original feel of the movie. In promos before airing, the producers said they were influenced by Joss Whedon's high school drama series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Whedon's central premise was, high school as a horror movie. And so the metaphor became the central concept behind Buffy, and that's how I sold it. The writers have confirmed they have no intention to include vampires but other creatures may be considered. There is also a surprising amount of violence and horrific images in the new series. This includes a dead body that has been torn in half, scenes of people being burned alive, as well as multiple fight scenes that result in deaths or grievous wounds and hallucinations of torture. In the series, Scott plays lacrosse instead of basketball. In the original, Scott inherits the werewolf trait from his father Harold who hid his lycanthropy from his son in the hopes that it would skip a generation, while the Scott on MTV's show gets bitten by a werewolf in the woods. Both Scotts are raised by a single parent. In the film Scott is brought up by his father and his mother is said to have died whilst in the series Scott is brought up by his mother who is divorced from his father. The new Stiles wears t-shirts featuring the Beatles and the Royal Air Force Randall symbol, while the original Stiles favored shirts that included highly offensive phrases. Another difference is that in the original everyone knew Scott was a wolf. In the modern update it remains a secret to the general population, with some of the plot exploring the resulting problems that arise from keeping his transformation hidden, in addition to Scott's inner conflict about being a werewolf. There is one reference, in Part 1 of the Season 1 finale of the series, to which the character Peter Hale mocks lacrosse, and says in his day everyone played basketball. The Teen Wolf sequel, Teen Wolf 2, is non-canon to the MTV series, as it involves the central characters, and Stiles in college. Teen Wolf 2 was derided by critics, and never followed by another sequel. Series Werewolf mythology, classifications. In the series, there is a hierarchy in place that designates various stations under which werewolves are classified. The highest of these types is an alpha werewolf. So far, the only two known ways for a beta or omega to achieve alpha ranking is by killing another alpha or being a true alpha werewolf, which is only achieved by strength of character or sheer willpower. Also the show hints that there is a natural line of succession within packs. When Laura's family is killed, and her uncle incapacitated, she assumed the role of the alpha werewolf within the Hale pack. Alphas are also the only type of werewolf that can transform humans into werewolves with their bite, but the transformation is not always successful as humans could also die from the bite. Alpha werewolves are able to transform to a greater degree than beta and omega werewolves, such that they can become hulking wolf men or fully formed canine wolves depending on their experience or physiology. Alpha werewolves' eyes glow red when agitated or in their transformed state. The alpha werewolves are typically the leaders of a werewolf pack and are more powerful than all other werewolves. An alpha werewolf needs a minimum of 3 beta werewolves to form a basic pack. Due to a symbiotic relationship between pack members, the larger or more powerful the pack is, the greater an alpha werewolf's strength, speed, and skill increases. They have the ability to force other werewolves to transform, or restrain and change them back to human form, even when driven purely by werewolf instinct, as on an early full moon, simply by roaring. Some rare packs, as depicted in Season 3, can be composed entirely of alpha werewolves, with one dominant leader. These are called alpha packs. If an alpha werewolf kills one of their beta werewolves from their own pack, they absorb their powers, becoming stronger, faster, more powerful. Alpha werewolves also have the ability to hide their scent. As Peter Hale inflicted upon Scott in Season 1, alpha werewolves have limited telepathy and mental control over the werewolves that they create. If an alpha werewolf directly wounds another werewolf, the wound will take longer to heal. Alpha werewolves can heal the extremely ill with their pain transference ability, but they give up part of the spark that makes them an alpha werewolf. This can result in a loss of alpha status. The twins, Ethan and Aidan, lost their alpha status when their merged form's neck was snapped, but survived as individuals. According to Gerard Argent, the capacity to shape-shift into actual wolves is a rare ability among alpha werewolves. The second type of werewolf is a beta werewolf. These are the most common form of werewolf. They are members of a pack of werewolves and are led by the alpha werewolves. Although they have heightened senses, they cannot change out of human form. Their transformation involves the growth of claws and some facial differences, such as the growth of facial hair, elongated canines, a heavier brow and a widening of the nose, resembling that of the 1960s television character Eddie Munster. Beta werewolves have glowing blue or yellow eyes when agitated. A beta werewolf's eyes change from a glowing yellow to a glowing blue when the werewolf takes an innocent life. It is currently unknown why the eyes can change back to yellow, as in the case of Derek Hale. Like alpha werewolves, a beta werewolf's power will increase if their pack increases in power or numbers. The third type and lowest level of werewolf is an omega werewolf. These are lone werewolves who do not have a position in a pack. Due to the symbiotic strength, speed, and skill werewolves receive from their pack mates, the omega werewolves are often considered the weakest of the werewolves and are often killed by werewolf hunters as easy prey. Like beta werewolves, omega werewolves cannot change out of their human form. There are a few ways for a beta werewolf to become an omega werewolf. If they leave their pack of their own free will, if they are thrown out of their pack, or if their entire pack is killed, and they are the survivors. Omega werewolves have the same physical appearance of beta werewolves. Though while beta werewolves only have 4 fangs, omega werewolves have an entire set of teeth consisting of fangs. Also, like beta werewolves, omega werewolves have glowing yellow or blue eyes in their werewolf form. Their eyes turn from yellow to blue when they kill someone innocent, and is unknown how they can change back to yellow. Other traits: one can become a werewolf by one of 2 known methods. Being bitten by an alpha werewolf such as Scott McCall and Isaac Lee, or being a werewolf by birth, having biological werewolf parents like Derek, Laura and Cora Hale. An alpha werewolf's bite is not always successful, and some bitten humans reject the bite and die from it rather than transform. This was the fate of Paige. In the case of Jackson Whitmore, because of his persona, specifically the feeling that he lacks an identity, his body rejected the bite and he became a mutation of the werewolf gene. The Kanama. If a banshee, like Lydia, is bitten, they will neither transform or die. They are immune, but after Derek killed him, Peter Hale, inexplicably, was able to remain alive through Lydia's hallucinations as a result of his biting her. The bite, if successful, not only transforms a human into a werewolf, but also cures previous medical conditions such as asthma, epilepsy, cancer and can even heal scars. A werewolf's physical abilities are increased to an extremely high level. This allows them to do such things as sense when a person is lying by listening to their heart rate, run incredibly fast by using a combination of both their hands and legs that allows them to outrun their opponents, see things over immense distances, track a person via their scent, maintain a high endurance level, heal from wounds very quickly, and enhance strength that allows them to overpower their opponents, humans or most supernatural creatures. The show depicts that werewolves can develop a measure of control over their abilities, as at one point Scott's healing ability was shown to be faulty because of psychological reasons. Werewolves can also absorb and alleviate physical pain from other beings. However, as Peter Hale mentioned, if they take away too much, the werewolf could possibly kill himself. Alpha werewolves can use this ability to cure the incredibly sick, but it costs them their alpha status. Werewolves can come back to life if their bodies are still intact only on the night of the new full moon, in March. To come back to life, they need the light of the full moon shining on their bodies and drops of blood from an alpha werewolf. If the werewolf resurrected was an alpha werewolf, they revert to a beta classification. All beta or omega werewolves initially possess yellow eyes. Their eyes become permanently blue if they take an innocent life. Derek and Peter Hale, Jackson Whitmore, and the twins Ethan and Aidan are known werewolves who possess blue eyes in their beta-omega forms, resulting from Derek killing his first love Paige, Peter for killing his niece Laura and those involved in the Hale house fire, Jackson from his time as the Canema and the twins for killing their original alpha. Werewolves are highly allergic to wolfsbane. It affects them like kryptonite. A bullet laced with the form Nordic blue Mornshood almost killed Derek Hale, but he burned the remains from another bullet and applied the ashes to the wound which cured him. Mistletoe is also poisonous to them. If a werewolf is physically unwell, they throw up a liquid black substance as a known symptom of being poisoned by wolfsbane, mistletoe, and their blood turns the same black color whenever their healing ability could be similarly ineffective. As depicted by Gerard Argent and Page, people also eject the said black substance out of their bodies as a result of rejecting the bite. Like other supernatural creatures, werewolves are weakened by mountain ash. Werewolves are physically unable to cross into territories that have been surrounded by mountain ash, especially in its powdered state due to its potency. The appliance of extreme heat can override a werewolf's healing ability as shown when Derek applied the fire from a blowtorch to Scott's skin, giving Scott a permanent tattoo. The steady application of low amperage electricity will at certain levels weaken werewolves, deprive them of their abilities and keep them in human form. Physical pain causes a werewolf to stop shifting and revert to its human form. Also, it is revealed that werewolves lose their powers under a lunar eclipse. The new full moon brings about a natural wildness to werewolves, sometimes causing the werewolf to act out violently. New werewolves often restrain themselves during this period so they do not do harm to humans or draw attention to themselves. With practice for werewolves who are newly turned, this lunar side effect can be mentally controlled. Genetic werewolves can gain control over their werewolf powers and abilities, and animal side, much faster than bitten werewolves, due to the fact they were born werewolves, and it is part of their nature. Werewolves can also lose control if their natural cycle of full moon transformations is disrupted. Boyd and Derek's younger sister, Cora, were locked in a bank vault lined with hecatolite lace stone. The hecatolite refracted the moonlight, keeping the full moon from reaching them. This kept them from shifting for 3 full moons, diminishing their tolerance to it. Once the walls of the vault were breached and the light of the full moon reached them, they lost all control and went completely feral, rabid, and tried to kill their friends and family. Symbols also have significance among werewolves. The spiral symbol represents an intent for revenge or a vendetta. One way a werewolf can communicate is by lengthening their claws and having physical contact with someone, resulting in a form of telepathy. Piercing another being with their claws can enable the werewolf to see the victim's memories. By driving the claws into the back of a being's neck, this process will either imprint a series of memories from the attacker to the victim, or remove memories from the victim's mind. As Peter has demonstrated, the process can work both ways, as seen when he extracted Isaac's memories that had been removed from his mind. According to Peter, this skill is used exclusively by alpha werewolves, or ones who have been alpha werewolves, due to the high risk involved. If this is done by inexperienced werewolves, they could unintentionally paralyze or kill someone. Peter and Cora Hale have hinted that werewolves age differently from humans. This phenomenon has not been explicitly explained. Camera flashes and some video recording devices cause werewolves' eyes to glow, making them nearly impossible to photograph. They can apparently learn to control this effect. The male identical twins, Ethan and Aidan, have exhibited the ability to merge into a single larger werewolf form that can overwhelm most supernatural creatures. They had to be taught how to harness and control this technique, however. It is unknown if this ability is unique only to werewolves who are blood-related, particularly relatives of the same gender, but it is known that twins of the same gender may merge. The emerged werewolf form's neck was snapped and they appeared to be dead, but they survived as individuals with both their alpha status and their ability to merge lost. Peter and Derek utilized a ritual in Season 3 where Peter had the werewolf claws of the deceased Talia Hale inserted underneath his own fingernails, and he drove them into the back of Derek's neck, akin to the manner of a werewolf's memory transference or memory wiping. Derek had a vision where he could actually communicate with Talia's spirit in a form of channeling the dead. Reception: critical. The first season of the series has generated a generally positive response from professional critics, with some praising it as better quality when compared to other shows by MTV. According to Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the show holds an average score of 61 out of 100, which indicates generally favorable reviews, based on 14 reviews. Metacritic also lists the show as the second highest-rated MTV series by professional critics behind Awkward. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reports that 70% of 23 critics have given the first season a positive review. The site's consensus is, thanks to a charismatic lead in Tyler Posey and some dark, biting humor, Teen Wolf is a pleasant summer surprise, even if it does tread familiar ground. Linda Stasi, a writer from the New York Post, awarded the series premiere a perfect score, stating, "Not only is it really well thought out, but the good-looking kids in the show can actually act." Vern Gay from Newsday also reserved high praise for the show, calling it a winner and best of all, fun. David Hinckley of New York Daily News commented favorably on the series, ending his review with werewolves, pretty girls, dumb bullies and lacrosse. What more, really, could you ask of high school? Film critic Rex Reed is a fan of the series, calling it the sexiest show on television today. Some critics had a less positive reaction toward the first episode. Troy Patterson from Slate gave it a mixed review, referring to it as light and passably witty supernatural drama. James Ponyazovic from Time magazine also had mixed feelings towards the show, saying, "The pilot isn't bad, exactly it's well-paced if a little dour in spots and there's some decent CW-esque banter but it's pretty much entirely what I would have expected from any supernatural teen drama." Following the first season finale in August 2011, Ian Gray of IndieWire gave the series a positive review and Angel Cohn of Television Without Pity named it the third best new show of the summer. Buddy TV ranked Teen Wolf number 4 on its list of 2011's best new TV shows. The second season of the show received even more positive reviews than the first one, and Rotten Tomatoes reports that 80% of 5 critics have given it a positive review. The third season also received positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which reports that 100% of 6 critics gave it a positive review. The series premiere attracted a total of 2.17 million viewers. After airing its third episode, Teen Wolf was reported to be heading into its fourth week with tremendous momentum following a 23% increase among persons 12–34, with a 1.6 in the demo. With double-digit percentage gains among total viewers and key demos, Teen Wolf was the number 1 show in its time slot with women 12–34. The first season finale attained a series high in persons 12–34 on 2.1 million viewers overall, as well as being first in its time slot among teens and females 12:34. Other media, books, 2012, Nancy Holder, On Fire, a Teen Wolf novel, Simon & Schuster, ISBN 9781451674477. In June 2012, MTV Books released the book On Fire, by Nancy Holder. The cover art features Tyler Posey with glowing yellow eyes, with a fire-red background. The book tells the story of Scott McCall and the first season of Teen Wolf. Comic. A comic themed upon the show was released in September 2011 by Image Comics. Awards and nominations. Broadcast. America's Teen Wolf is shown domestically in the USA on the pay TV channel MTV, Mondays at 10:09 Canada's Bell Media aired the series on pay TV channel Much Music until 2014, when the series was moved to their domestic version of MTV. In Quebec, the series airs on Bell Media's pay TV channel RAC TV. Latin America's Sony Pictures Television pay TV channel Sony Spin airs the series in Brazil, Honduras and Mexico. Europe, the United Kingdom's BSKYB aired the first 2 seasons on pay TV channel Sky Living, Thursdays 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. There are no plans to renew the series for the 3rd season. The series also airs in Belgium on Plug RTL, France on France 4, Germany on RTL 2, Italy on Fox and MTV, Portugal on Panda Bigs and Turkey on CNBCE. With Sony Pictures Television pay TV channel AXN and AXN Spin airing the series in Bulgaria, Hungary and Poland. Asia, Sony Pictures Television pay TV channel AXN airs the series in India, Pakistan and South Korea, with the rest of Asia on BTV. Oceania, Australia's Foxtel airs the series on pay TV channel Fox 8, Fridays at 9:30 p.m. The Seven Network's primary free-to-air channel aired the first season during late night. References. Further reading, Plunkett, John. Creator-executive producer Jeff Davis talks Teen Wolf Season 2 and 3. Promises big changes ahead, Collider, July 28, 2012. Retrieved on August 26, 2012. External links, official website, Teen Wolf at the Internet Movie Database, teenwolf@tv.com.